And I finally got that meeting where I was like, okay, here we go. This is going to happen. When you walk into these spaces, sometimes you can immediately feel
Oh, yeah.
that they didn't know that you were walking in this meeting. I'm pitching this project and I'm telling them, and they're listening, and they seem like they're interested. And the guy across the desk, this producer, and if he ever sees this, I know he's going to kick himself in the butt. He goes, I just have a question. I hope I'm not, but like, do Black people really watch horror movies?
Girl. Hey everyone, welcome to the Coffee No Cream podcast. And today we have a great episode for you. We are going to be talking about education. And when I talk about education, I mean whether or not we should be educating white people or other races when they just get it wrong. Now, that's a big topic right now on the internet. Black women are tired. We're tired of trying to explain why this is the wrong thing to say or do, or this is the wrong opinion or stance to take. We're just tired. So a lot of Black women are sitting down. But today with my guest, the other Erin Norman, we are going to be talking about educating white people in situations and when it makes sense. And should we really be just over it and stop talking and stop trying to explain? Or should we take the time? She has a very interesting take on it, and I'm so excited to have her with me. Now, Erin is the CEO and founder of the Share platform. The Share platform is a revolutionary platform designed to empower filmmakers through tools, resources, and revenue sharing opportunities that are going to promote long-term sustainability in the entertainment industry. Now, I told you guys, each week I'm going to try to bring you a rock star Black woman from all types of backgrounds to talk about their coffee no cream moments. Coffee no cream moments are those moments that happen to Black women just because we're Black. And Erin is bringing something a little bit different because she's from the film industry. And a lot of times we don't get to see what goes on behind the scenes. And she's going to take us back and share a few things with us today. And I like the way our conversation went. I like the way we kind of touched on that topic of education. Erin and I know each other because I used to live in LA and I met Erin. I was introduced to her by a mutual acquaintance of ours. We just hit it off and we are reconnecting today to talk about her coffee no cream moment. So let me tell you a little bit about Erin. She has extensive experience in the film industry working with A-list actors like Jamie Foxx and Aaron Taylor Johnson. She has written and produced films that have been featured on Apple TV, Peacock, and in film festivals globally. And you're going to hear a lot more about that in the interview. Before we get there, guys, do me a favor. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Again, we are trying to get this podcast out to Black women to help them get through the day-to-day of being and living in this world as a Black woman and help them navigate situations that only we have to deal with. So like and share, subscribe. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Apple, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode today. So I'll see you over there. Welcome, Erin Norman. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to connect with you after all these years.
I know, I'm so excited too. So tell everyone what you've got going on, what you do on a day-to-day basis before we get into your coffee no cream moment.
Sure. I am the CEO and co-founder of a new tech startup, a new platform called Share. We're revolutionizing the film industry. Right now, Hollywood is dead and it's in crisis. And we started working on this a couple years ago because the financial structure, it's not even broken. It's always been broken. It's never really worked for independent creatives. And I think the historic strikes in 2023 really shed a light to the rest of the world of just how bad it is. It was like, oh my gosh, it's super crazy. We got to do something. So my partner, Leo, and I we came up with this idea because we believe that everyone who participates in a film or short film, music video. If they participate in the labor, they should participate in the profits. And so that's what our platform is built on, is equality for everybody working in the Hollywood industry. So
Really
yay.
cool.
My
That's
day to
really
day
cool.
is Zoom meetings, trying to find funding, trying to build community, talking to partners because everybody's feeling it, whether they're in the UK. I'm having meetings sometimes with people in Japan, UK,
Wow.
Canada. It's really awesome, but it just
Wow.
shows you how big this industry is and just how hard it is for everybody and how everyone's feeling it. So that's my hustle every day.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And I'm so excited to have you on because, as you know, I'm back in Missouri in the
Yes.
Midwest. So
Yes.
film industry folk aren't your everyday around here. So this is
Yeah.
really, really, really a treat. Okay, so for those of you who are just joining us, every week on our episode, we share what I like to call a coffee no cream moment, one of those moments that just happens to us Black girls because we are Black. If you know, you know, and you just get it.
Mm,
And today, Erin, I'm sure, has a great coffee no cream moment to share with us, and it's coming from a different background. So I'm
yeah.
going to give it over to Erin, the other Erin, and
Yes.
let her take us through your coffee no cream moment.
Yes, thank you. One, I just love this podcast. I love that this is something that is being discussed because I feel like every Black girl, woman has this moment. And honestly, I have several,
So
but
many.
so many that it's like from the time I was a kid, but
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
go into the profession I'm in now. So I'm a filmmaker, writer, producer. So I write a lot of horror projects, and I remember getting a meeting. I can't say the name of the company, but it was a really big company. And I finally got that meeting where I was like, okay, here we go. This is going to happen. I'm going to pitch this. This is a unique idea. No one's ever heard of it. And I went in there, and first, yeah, I'm a Black girl named Erin, and I have a very white name, Erin
Yes.
Norman. So people don't really know. Norman is how, I think, French, and Erin is Irish, so they don't know. So
Yeah.
I take the meeting, and when you walk into these spaces, sometimes you can immediately feel
Oh,
that
yeah.
they didn't know that you were walking in this meeting. Do you know what I mean? They didn't know what to expect. So it was like, oh, hi, so nice to meet you. That's the first thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Second, old school parents, we were raised, we speak, we speak
Exactly.
proper, you know what I mean?
Proper.
For a Black girl. So you walk in and hi, nice to meet you. And you could just see they're taken aback. But I'm pitching this project, and this is like 2007, I think, 2007, 2008. And I'm telling them, and they're listening, and they seem like they're interested. And literally at the end, they're like, so you just write horror. Like, okay, all right. What got you into horror? And I was like,
Mm,
well, what got the whole world into horror? I've been
right.
watching it since I was a kid. I mean, and the guy across the desk, this producer, and if he ever sees this, I know he's going to kick himself in the butt. He goes, I just have a question. I hope I'm not, but like, do Black people really watch horror movies?
Girl. What?
Yes, yes. What got
Yes, because the
you?
Black person always gets killed first. Don't you
Yes,
know?
exactly. I was like, and what got you into horror? And so, you know, it I again, I know if I was a white girl in there pitching it, it would have been about the story
Right.
and not about how I got into this genre, how
Right.
I started to write this in this, genre. It would be more about the story. And I felt like it was a missed opportunity because I literally had to flip and start talking about the Black audience and what we watch. And it was something that, if I'm being really honest, I wish I would have called him out more on that. I
Right.
just wasn't expecting it, and it was kind of like, what? Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you why Black people do this, And I wish I would have been like, actually, yeah. Like I wish I would have been who I am today back then.
Okay, so we're gonna get to that. So, okay, let's just back up a second because that's yeah, okay, you had to go into the education zone, right? Which
Yep.
we love to do. We love to educate you guys because it's just like, come on, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh-huh.
it's just so crazy to me because we've been in this country as long as you have, longer.
Girl. That
So,
part. Yeah.
so everything that has happened and been created in this
Hmm.
country,
Hmm.
we have been a part of it along the way. So why wouldn't we be into horror films? What are we? We're supposed to just write out love stories,
Oh,
stories
well,
of struggle from the hood.
yeah, and what you're saying is not, I mean, so on point because it's not just us talking about like being a part of it. We created it. So another story, I'm not going to go too deep, but I wrote a pilot called My Country. So
Hmm.
about a black woman who wanted to be the first black country music star, and it was a drama series set in Round Rock, Texas, and literally she wanted to get out and do something that had never been done before because before Beyonce, people really
Right.
didn't know. And I did get some pickup. I had like these producers, Showtime producers that were producing Californication and Weeds that were like, we love it. So I optioned it. I just thought, this is my big break. It's about to happen.
Yeah.
We couldn't get that anywhere because, again, something that we created, like country music came from Black folks. It's like,
American music.
yeah, everything, pop culture. But I could not get, they could not, and these producers were amazing. Steven, Will, all just amazing. And they were so behind me. And none of them were black. Two white guys and an Asian guy. None of them were
Hmm.
black, but they believed in the vision. They knew we had something incredible. And they were really trying to get it sold. And no one would buy into the fact that this could actually be happening. They couldn't see it as a black woman doing that. Fast forward to Beyonce,
Yeah.
and now everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, black people do this in the country." And I'm like, "Yeah, I this was 2008. This was 2008. So we
Yeah.
create this pop culture, but yet, we're not really able to represent it in the ways that we should be,
It's
you
so
know?"
funny because my mom I cannot sing to save my life.
Yeah.
And when I was
Go ahead and
younger,
try, girl.
no, girl, no, 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 no. I'm willing. I'm out here enough. Like, but my mom used to say you should become a black country singer. There's no female black country singer. She used to tell me that, and I'm like, okay, first of all, that is the one genre I just can't get down with,
Right?
and um. Yeah, that was like a thing. It's so funny. And now it's like Beyonce's doing it, of course, because Beyonce does everything.
Yes,
But
yes.
let's go back to that first story you said when you walked into that meeting
Hmm.
and these people had never seen you before,
Mm-mm.
obviously. I
Nope.
mean, what year did you say that was again?
Gosh, my years are so crazy, but I believe
Yeah.
it was 2008.
Yeah.
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 Same time I wrote the other projects because I wrote a lot of different things, but around 2008. So social
Yeah.
media, they weren't able to check me out and do all that stuff like that.
Hmm. And so you said when you came in, you felt something. Like, what
Mhm.
did you feel before he actually got into, class?
Yes, I love it. Put him in class.
Hmm.
I felt uh shock from
Hmm.
on his end. I felt that he was surprised. He was taken aback that, I'm a woman named Erin Norman that is black. And it wasn't a negative shock. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, but it was like, oh, like that type of, that's what I felt. It
Right.
wasn't just like, hey, nice to meet you. Welcome. Thank you. And I could say, thank you for taking this meeting and pitch. I felt like I was always, not really defending the fact that I was black, but it was like I felt like I always was like up against that. It just felt different. It didn't
Right.
feel like and it didn't feel like I was unwelcomed. It wasn't bad. I want to be clear about that, but it was
Right.
definitely, oh, okay, hey. And then, hindsight, those questions he was asking about, you know, me and watch black people, that's where it got a little
Weird.
negative and
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and I can totally relate. I talked about this on a podcast, on episode 2, when with Karen Donaldson, and we were talking about our names because her name is
Oh,
Karen
Karen,
Donaldson,
yeah.
and my
Yes.
name is Aaron Braxton, and your name is Aaron Norman, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we speak proper English,
Yes.
and people just don't know. They don't get it. And
Mm-mm.
I've had that situation happen to me a few times. And there's a whole lot of debate, now I think we want to celebrate our unique names that we would give our children in the African American community. But when you and I were younger, I think that was the intention, was to make sure that when we look at our name on a resume, or somebody looks at our name on a resume, we don't
Yeah.
immediately get pushed to the side because they know before we can get there and show them why,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a big thing. And yeah, so I mean, I've had that happen so many times. I think about well, I don't want to get into me. I share
No,
stories.
please.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, yeah, I mean, I think about this time, we're talking about the way you talk and your name. I remember being on the phone, and this was like in the late 1990s, and I was on the phone with AT&T, and T, and I was trying to talk to this woman about an issue, and I was in Dallas, and she was saying, well, yeah, that area used to be good, and all the blacks are there now, or something she
oh,
said to me, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. But
Yeah. Well, the thing is like I love that you said you put him in class. That's a
yeah,
good thing.
yeah,
I kind of wish I would have put him in class in that moment, and in a more respectable, but like this is
sure.
what it is. And to just go back to why black people had certain names, and like you said, growing up, if your name was Cuisinart or whatever, people be like, ooh, whatever.
Yeah,
But what people don't realize is that during slavery and the slave trade, that parents did that so they could find their children.
yeah,
They did that. They made sure they gave them the most unique, because if you got 20 Anns, 50 Bettys or Dorothys or whatever,
sure.
so they would try to make it as unique as possible to make sure that these families were separated.
Right.
Your babies could be taken from you and sold. It could be down the street, it could be in a whole new state,
State.
you know?
Yeah,
But if you ever want to find your loved ones, how do you find them? You had to have those names. So most people don't even know that history. But what you said is absolutely true. You had that history during, slavery and stuff like that. And then as after the civil rights movement, you saw different names so nobody would be able to, call you out or look at your application and see Tamika or Keisha or,
right.
I have a cousin named Coquise. You know what I mean? So
That's
it's
a good
like,
one. Yeah,
yeah. And so that's a French Creole name, but still, it's like, those things make a difference. And, walking in the room after they see our names, or even me too, on the phone, I call and I'm like, hey, I'm calling about this. No idea that I'm a black
no
woman.
idea. Hmm.
No. And so I've never had that happen, but they just don't know. So, of course, you walk in, they see you. And it's different too, because colorism is also real.
Very.
Very real. And so when they see you, like I'm a lighter skinned black woman, you know what I
Sure.
mean? It's all just so ridiculous. But we're now in these spaces, and I can't believe it's 2025 and people are still having these moments because they don't expect us to be there
Right.
in those
Right.
spaces. He didn't expect me to come in with a pilot that he read and liked. I'm sorry, it was a feature film that he read and liked and was into it. And nothing happened from it, but
Yeah. Do you feel like being a black woman was the reason nothing happened from it? Because I know you've had a lot of success, and it's a tough industry, so one might just say, you know, it's hard. A lot of people are trying
yeah.
to get their films read. I mean,
It's funny because I don't think that it was because I was black. I think it's because the lead characters were black.
mm,
I write a lot for us. And so when I'm writing stories, I mean, we got enough stories about everybody else. So
sure.
I don't think that he was able to get it. So even though he loved the script, and I'm like, you read the script, it's black people.
Yeah.
I don't when I got in the room and I started talking more about it, and then, like I said, I'm defending the fact that blacks do watch horror, and that, talking about certain horror projects like Candyman and this, and,
Yeah.
you know, um, the more I was like defending it, I felt like it was more of like something he thought he might have to overcome to get the green light.
Mm,
Maybe, maybe that's where the questions come from. I don't really know if that was it, to be honest, but the crazy thing is, I pitched that and I went everywhere with it. I had meetings. I was everywhere. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were, oh, okay, great, and then a lot of people loved it and it didn't happen. But then, you look fast forward and here comes Jordan Peele with horror.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know what I mean? And then,
Yeah.
look at Sinners right
Yeah.
now. It
Yeah.
just killed it. I mean,
Killed it.
brilliant movie too. Just
Yeah.
so, oh, I cried. It brought me to
And
my father. It touched me in a place I didn't even think a horror movie would ever do.
well, my people are from the Mississippi Delta.
Oh,
So, and it's so interesting because everybody's going to see that. It's not just
I
Black
know.
people.
Oh, no.
Everybody's going to
Yep.
see that.
Yep.
So, and I don't know, like I really, when I talk about my history and like things that I've dealt with, certain things I think are definitely because I'm Black.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things I've learned are because I'm a woman.
Oh, yes,
And
that
I
part.
I did not understand the whole sexism thing, the misogynistic thing. I did not understand that
Oof.
until I had a Black boss. And then I got it. Black male boss. Got it big time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, my first and foremost thing to be concerned about is being Black. Next is
Yes,
being a woman. Like
woman.
I don't have time to be worried with this feminist stuff. I don't have time for this. Like I know you're going to see my skin color. And
Yes.
when I was in the clothing industry, when I had my clothing line, I feel like I had a lot of that because my line was my name.
Yes.
And it's a name, Erin Braxton. Nobody knows what
Mm.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I went to go show to Neiman Marcus because of some friends who got me into that appointment. Of course, this white girl did not know what I was back then.
Right.
Her and all of her little assistant associate buyers were like, oh my God, we love it. We love it. And then she wouldn't pick it up. She wouldn't buy it, which is fine. It happens. It wasn't until I was at Market, and I used to go to New York to show my line at Market.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I saw her, I had stepped away from my booth, to go talk to somebody else. And I saw her go into my booth, check out all my stuff, and then just, and I walked up to her like, hey, what's up? And, she was kind of caught, but,
Yeah.
she was checking it out, but
Of course.
she wouldn't get the line. So, like I know I throw people off. I mean, people used to tell me I throw people off when I was walking my dog down the street with a sweater on. Probably. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Oh,
just throw people off because, you just throw people
being
off. But
Black.
do you think I want to go back to kind of, your takeaways and what you would have done differently. You say you would have gotten more into why, the explanation. You would have tell me about that a little bit more because I know right now, like culturally, like Black women are kind of like, no, I'm not trying to educate you. Go
Mm-mm.
figure it out. Go
Yeah.
learn. But, obviously this is a different situation because you're trying to sell your show or your movie to these people and it would have been appropriate. So when you say you wish you would have done, how would you have done? Because my goal here also is to help women figure out how to navigate through because this is going to happen. This is going to happen to everybody at
Yeah.
some point, I feel. What do you think would have been helpful at that time, your younger self that you know now that you didn't know then?
Yeah. You know what I think, Erin? I feel like, and I have to say, I'm one of these people who I'm not too I don't get angered about like explaining things to other folks. That's
Right.
just not I don't it's not my job to educate you. You should know better. But I do realize that there are people that have grown up completely sheltered from anything. They don't
Completely.
know anything. And I realize that as annoying as it is when they ask a certain question that's just like, are you really asking this? No, it's not my job to do it, but I want to. I want to be
Mm.
like, actually, like, so side note, really quick, I don't want to go too off, but my sister used to have a roommate who was an actress who was in a bunch of hit movies and she was Russian and she didn't know anything about like American culture. She would, come over and one day my sister my other sister had a pool, so we were all getting ready to go swimming. I went to pick her up at her house, and my sister was pissed. And I was like, "Why are you so mad?" She goes, "This girl just asked me, do black people, so wait, black people know how to swim?" And she was like, my sister was like, "What do you mean, do black people know how to swim? Of course we know how to swim. Why would you ask that? That's so racist." And so they got into a big thing about it. And she was like, "I'm so sorry. I watch all these black comedians and they always say, we're not getting our hair wet. We're not doing this."
Yeah.
So I had a conversation with my sister on the drive to the pool. I was like, Christian, like she's Russian. She doesn't know. I said, but here's the thing. If you are an outsider just watching American culture, especially black comedians and stuff, you might think that. Like because even black comedians get up and like, y'all know we don't be swimming. We don't swim and stuff like that. And I said,
Yeah.
so it is ignorant. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Check yourself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I told her that's your moment to say you need to stop just watching black comedians and pick up some history books because black history is American history. So
Absolutely.
I'll tie this up. I just had to go. Sorry, I kind of went off,
I
but
could go off on that swim comment that you
oh,
just made because, I swim every week now. It's a thing I've been doing for 3 weeks. And those
yes.
white people at the pool, they're very shocked that I can swim so well. Like they always say something about, "Oh, she's a swimming demon. She can swim." And
Oh,
I've
yeah.
had 2 white women or 3 stop me and compliment me. Girl, and I don't swim. I mean, white people they can generally swim better. I'm not going to even sit here and lie because they were in those sorts of sports and things like that when they were growing up. They were on the swim team and
Yeah.
they come in and they're like 75 and they can smoke you. They can just, you're just like, "Oh my God,"
Yeah,
but it's just
totally.
like, I have had several white people compliment me on my swimming at the pool. And it's just so strange. Like, "Did your mom ever tell you were a graceful swimmer?" I was like, why would she tell me that? I don't know when that would come up. Like,
Yeah.
just random stuff. I've had at least 5 people, all white
Oh,
people, compliment me on my
oh,
swimming. It's very weird to me when it happens. It's not like super offensive or anything, but I think it's
yes.
surprising to them. And
And
I
yes.
don't get offended, but they're surprised.
And that's where I say, for me, I feel like people have their own experiences. But for me, and when people have those moments, I don't mind checking them in that moment, respectfully checking them,
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of times I don't think it's malicious. I really don't.
Yeah.
I don't think that my sister's roommate was actually trying to be like, "You swim,
Right.
N word." I don't think it's that energy. I just think they don't know. And I feel like I feel like I got to check you. And I'm going to check you in the most respectable, educated way so that you
Right.
think about it. You walk around, you walk away and you think about this. So going back to those moments, when I say educate him or put him in class, like you say, it's
Yeah.
not really to say, you know, it's my job to say this, but I wish I would have been prepared with more audience numbers and more stats. I wish I would have just been like, actually, Candyman was set in this location with a black this and this, and it did very well, it was a hit. That's why
Mm,
it was a franchise.
right.
Or I don't know if you saw the very first Friday the 13th, there was a black actor in there. Or, I wish I would have come back with just some
Yeah.
information to kind of give him, I don't even know those stats right now today because it's so long ago, but
But if you
I,
were pitching this right now, you would know them
yeah,
because yeah.
not even if I was pitching it today, I could talk about Us. I can talk about Get Out. I can talk
Yep.
about even Vampire in Brooklyn. And,
Yeah.
even though that was out, like I can go and say what these movies did. Like now, what Ryan Coogler just did, he just opened up a whole new door. Now everyone's looking for horror. Like I
Right.
literally have a call later today about another horror project that I have that I submitted. So we'll see how that goes. But today's conversation, I don't have to defend the fact that the characters
Right.
are black, and I don't have to explain what this audience looks like because now in 2025 they've seen it. Now it's been there. But for me, a black country singer pilot never existed. A lot of these black horror movies with lead black actors, it wasn't really there, like we
Right.
didn't really see that. So I wish that I would have just had more information to just respectfully check him and make him walk away from that meeting and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to look into this. Instead, I felt like I was like, no, of course Black people watch it. I watched it. It was more
Yeah.
about my experience. Like I would, with me, like my
Yeah.
rebuttal or with me coming back at him, it was more about me. Like I've been watching horror since I was a kid and
Right.
I've seen do 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 do. And I wish that I would have just been like, facts, partner. Here you go. Let me just let you know with a
Right.
head twist and a snap. No.
And I think this is really like I'm liking the way this conversation is going because it is so current when I talk about that education piece because sometimes what you said is very, very true. A lot of times people are not being malicious. They are
No.
just coming with straight ignorance
Yeah. Yep.
because they just don't know, or maybe they
Mm-mm.
don't care to know.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, we don't care to know about a lot of people's cultures unless we need to know.
Yep.
So that's true. I can't even be mad about that all the time because you talk to so many people with so many different backgrounds and it's
Yeah.
it's it's life, it's learning. But
Yeah.
I do appreciate the education component of what you're saying, and I do like how you view this is an opportunity to share a part of a culture that
A
you do
culture.
not know.
Yes. How do they know? Like all I see right now online, which is so interesting, is
Hmm.
like there'll be like a white person that's like doing something cool or that's educated and they're like, okay, Katie's invited to the cookout.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is great. Like whatever. Who cares?
Some people are really mad about the cookout, but it's
Oh, a girl, I've seen some
you
of that
can't.
too.
There's no right side right now. You can't just like just. I just almost want to just shut up. Like the black gingers, the cookout. Like it's
Oh,
just like oh my gosh, like
yes. And it's and for me, I feel like we're never going to get anywhere in this country and we're already so divided
yeah,
as if every time someone, does as ignorant as it is, come and say like, "Wait, your hair was just here like but you have braids. How is that?" That does not make me mad. That does not piss me off. I'm like, girl, it's called braids and it's extensions and it's a protective style
yeah,
because as Black women, our hair is more fragile than yours. Like we
sure,
got this, we got that. It can bring, like I will tell them. So we put it in braids and oh my God, I love it. And it looks great. Okay, cool. Thank you, girl. Go. Now she knows. So if she sees another Black woman like that, she doesn't need to be questioning and wondering. They don't know. We got to think about it this way. For so many years, especially if you think of pop culture, we grew up in the 80s, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s. Every Care Bear commercial, Barbie commercial, every Prel Head and Shoulders commercial was white women. Everything was white. Beauty
yeah,
was white. It was not Black. So if we're not even getting those products, unless it's in our community, you know what I
right.
mean? Like you remember the Murrays, all the stuff we got, you didn't see no commercials for Murray's or pink oil and
No,
stuff. You only saw it in the Black community. So if that's the only place we're seeing it, why do we expect that mainstream is seeing it? They
that's a good
don't
point.
know. And for me, there's a difference when it's like, oh, why is this? Or you shouldn't be wearing that to work. And that is where, okay, now you're gonna really get checked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
That's disrespectful. But if it's genuine questions about certain things, if you're wondering why this is that, and you just really want to understand our culture, I really don't care. I don't get so offended about stuff like that because I
yeah.
feel like on a human level, there's been so many people that are sheltered. If I grew up in a rural city and the population, the smallest percentages of, Asian, how, like even now, like you can talk to people, they don't know the difference with Korean, Japanese. They don't understand. You know
No,
what I mean? Like it's about being cultured and cosmopolitan, and not everybody has that type of exposure. I
exposure.
did growing up in the Bay. I grew up in the Bay Area, extremely diverse. So I was eating
Yeah,
Filipino food and I was going to
right.
luau's. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Samoans went to my school. I mean, it was everything. But when I moved to the suburbs of Chicago, it was literally black, white. A couple of Latinos mixed in there, but there were barely no Asians at our school. So, it's a different thing, but I do think it's up for us to, if we, it's really different on each person. If it offends
Yeah.
you, it offends you. I'm not judging anybody. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I think what you're saying and how you respond has a lot to do with your upbringing and your exposure.
Yeah.
So, I'm from St. Louis. I was the only black kid for many years. Then they started the busing, and then we were more integrated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for the most part, in St. Louis, it's just black and white.
Mm-hmm.
There's Italians, there's Jews, there's Polish, there's all these people, but it's black and white.
Yeah.
These Jewish people were white, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Yeah, the Italians
They're
were white. Yeah.
right, and we really didn't have Latin. We really didn't have Latin. We we didn't. We had maybe one or two Asians. We did have a couple of. I'm not gonna say I don't know if they were Indian or Pakistani. I don't
Or
know.
Middle Eastern or from
Middle
India. Yeah.
Eastern. I'm not sure. So I
Yeah.
don't want to speak on that, but it was always just like a couple, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I
Mm-hmm.
moved to Texas, I was so excited because we finally had Latin. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I can practice my Spanish. I'm like so excited. There's just some more diversity here. And then
Yeah.
when I moved to LA, I was just excited. I was so
Yeah.
excited
Yes. Yes,
because
of
I'm
course.
looking for that. And
Yeah.
my point is, though, just as white people are unexposed, underexposed, black people are as well a lot of the time. We like to be with our community, just like Jewish people like to be with their community, and Asian
Yep.
people like to be with their community, and Latinos like to be with their community.
Yep.
And a lot of times, until we go to work
Mm-hmm.
or go to college, depending on where you went to school or not, your exposure is just that minimal. Like you have had none,
Yep.
right? So you are very, very your exposure is not broad for
Mm-mm.
other people's cultures.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
right. So the way that you see it, I think, is a very much more enlightened way to be. I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes, I don't know if I say it's easier because we have been so exposed. Like some
Yeah.
black people have absolutely never been around white people. They don't want to be around white people
Yeah.
or anybody else. That's it. So when there is an encounter, it might be negative because they're going based on what they see on
Yeah.
television, movies,
Yeah.
TikTok, the
Yeah.
internet, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is the same thing I think that happens in the white community. It's just much more offensive because we are the oppressed group, right?
Yep.
So I believe that's why, but definitely I think the exposure part of it is huge. And I guess the big takeaway is just having patience, opening your mind to and really taking the time to understand like where somebody is coming from, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
again, my goal with this podcast wasn't even to bash bash white
No.
people.
No.
It was just to help black women figure out how to navigate these situations. And I think
Mm-hmm.
you've given a very um I like the way like a very mature response if people want to listen to that on
Yeah.
how to go about it because black women are fed up at this point, after this election and just everything
We
that's gone
tired.
on, just tired. We
Yes.
don't want to explain to you why.
No.
And I think some people we do have allies in other
Yes.
communities. We
Oh,
definitely
yes.
do. And if we didn't have allies, we wouldn't even be where we are now, right? I'm not saying it's because of them. I'm just
No.
saying we have to have had allies. So we do, and some people are well intended. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just facts. That's history. Like Harriet Tubman, like if you think about it, like throughout all history, the freedom riders were buses full of white and black people.
yeah,
Let's just go to 2020. When I was at home with my baby, not in the streets marching because of COVID for George Floyd, when I was looking at these protests, a majority of these kids were white kids. So we have to get to a point where we look at that. Like the Underground Railroad, though a lot of slaves are hidden, excuse me, in white households.
Hmm.
Like a lot. And so we got to get to this point where we acknowledge that. And again, we are and were the oppressed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And here's the difference though. I grew up with Southern Black family, Black women, church, whatever. So when that white person moved in the neighborhood and came through or showed up at church, it was like, hey, baby, come
Yeah.
on in here and get welcome, welcome, welcome. We weren't given that
No.
in a lot of white spaces. We showed up at the country club or certain things. It was like, what are they doing here? We put a toe in the pool. They wanted to drain the pool. So history is, two things could be true at once.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so I say that today is that, yes, we do have allies. We have people that stand up for us, and we have people that are telling other, folks, have a seat that are white, that are like, you need to read a history book, you need to
Right.
do this. I have friends who are white, who are huge supporters and who are respectful of me, my culture. They know the history. And so this is not this. What I love about your podcast is that it's not about bashing people.
Yeah.
It is basically allowing us to express ourselves, not about telling women how to react in these situations. It's also about other women that aren't Black that will see this podcast to
Yes.
understand our experience and how they can participate in learning more about our culture. I mean, John Lennon said Black women are the N word of the world. And it's true. We're always at the bottom. Even our brothers don't support us.
No.
Kamala's running and she got to go and defend, she got to go get the vote from the Black man.
Yeah.
There's so much we could say. That's a whole nother
Oh, I could.
conversation.
Yeah, I
But
have a theory
I
about
think,
that too. Yeah.
oh, girl, just furious. But,
Yeah.
I started even with Share with my platform. And I have a lot of women of color who are in the industry that are my friends, I've been friends with for 20 years, who have not signed up.
Hmm.
And then I have some white girlfriends who are not even in my industry who
Yeah.
have a profile just to support me.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I'm always with my people, don't get me
Of
wrong. And I'm
course.
always standing for that. But I do think that you have to understand in these coffee, no cream moments, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the intention is. And I feel like it only serves all of us when we respond, intelligently, know
Yeah.
what you're talking about, respectfully. And you could respectfully check someone all the time and
Love
make sure
that.
that moving forward, they know better. And that's the goal, you know?
Love that. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Respectfully check someone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's good,
Yeah.
Erin.
You,
That's
you
good.
serving it with a little sugar, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's good, and really just as Black women, because we were talking about the hair earlier and stuff like that, we just set we just set it up and everybody takes it and runs with it. So like even with how can your hair be like this long and then it's down to your butt? And white girls weren't wearing extensions. They
No.
weren't wearing extensions.
No,
Now they're wearing
no.
extensions. Like
Cornrows.
everything, all of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just so fascinating. The guys that I
Yeah.
swim with, they're white, they're older. They told me they watched my podcast the day the guy had the wildlife guy over to my house because we had the tornadoes like a couple
Yes.
weeks ago, and
Right.
a few years ago I had a bat get in here because in Missouri we have bats. It's a big thing, right?
I
So a
know.
bat flew in my house, and I had to call the wildlife guy, and he was up on the top of the chimney making sure that the bats can't get in because that's how we think they came. And anyway, but he came over because my chimney cap flew off, and he's like, I saw your podcast, and I'm like, you did?
Uh-oh.
So you just don't know I mean,
Yeah.
people are interested and people want to do better. People want to do better and they are interested.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's funny. It's just like, and when I was at the pool last week, I told the guys at the pool, I said, you guys are the absolute opposite target audience, right? And they're like, yeah, but it's true. And I'm like, it was just nice that they cared enough to even watch it.
Yeah,
So,
because what we're talking about too are human experiences,
right.
and I'm sure, everybody has something, like you were saying, people of other backgrounds and a lot of women. I mean,
Oh yeah.
that's a whole nother thing. It's like
Oh
as a
yeah.
woman, we have so many other experiences, but this is one that I feel is important. I feel these conversations are important and that people should know. And, I'm looking forward to more episodes from you to see
Yes.
how we can keep
Yeah.
this conversation going because as Black women, we have these things. If we go off too much, we're that angry Black woman,
Oh
and
yeah.
if we don't,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, it's like we're always it's always a fine line. It's always like, how can we do, even now when I'm dealing with people in the company, it's like, okay, but you don't want to say that. And I'm like, I know how to talk. I know what to say. And
Right.
just even if I do, if I'm a male CEO of a startup and I say this, it's like, gosh, he's so strong and he's really hard on his people because he's so successful. But as a Black woman, I could say the exact same thing and not even the same tone, just a
Yeah.
little bit. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, I'm an angry Black woman
Oh
and I
yeah.
got this. So it's like hearing you having this space to discuss this allows us to speak freely about these experiences
Yeah.
and it allows people to hear about these experiences because it's not directed at them and there's no like animosity or
Yeah.
behind it. It's just a conversation that needs to be heard. So I thank you for this is
Thank
pretty awesome. I
you.
told you I love this is so dope.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
when this stuff happens, it's hurtful.
Yep.
we're human and we're so often considered to be stronger, like we don't have any feelings, and it's
Oh
just like
gosh.
the general the way the world is set up, I have to be stronger, right? I
Yeah.
can't just
Nope.
cry all the time like some of our white counterparts can. I can't
Yeah.
even show up like nobody cares,
No.
so I've just been conditioned I appear, you appear harder, but you're soft, you're a girl, you have
Yeah.
feelings, you
Yeah.
hurt, you cry and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. So yeah, this space is definitely for Black women, and people have asked me like, why not brown women too? And I'm just like, because
It's a
it's for
different
Black
experience.
women. Like I
Yeah.
said, we are interwoven into the thread of this country from the very beginning. Black and brown is not the same. We have some similarities because we're human,
Oh
but
yeah.
this is specifically just we're here for Black girls, Love my
Yeah.
brown sisters, but yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah. But
And
anyway,
I think that's perfect because this experience is different. They're treated differently than us too.
totally.
It's a whole different thing. So yeah, this is a space for that. So I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for being here today. I
Thank
love it.
you
I'm
for
gonna have to
having
have
me.
Yes, I'm gonna have to have you back because you have more. You have more to share. I know you do.
Oh,
We could talk all day about these coffee no cream experiences. I know I can, but
girl, and I'm in this new tech space because
yes,
I'm a filmmaker with a
yeah,
tech platform. So I'm learning
yes.
a lot about tech.
Oh,
But I bet you I'll have some stories for you soon about this tech space because
oh,
it's
for
crazy
sure.
too. Yeah.
I have one. I haven't posted it yet. I don't know if it'll be posted by the time this episode goes up, but I interviewed a woman who is in the tech space, and our conversation is interesting. It talks about we get into how what you and I talked about is how Black women treat other Black women, which is
Uh,
like another
yes.
thing.
Yes.
That's like a whole nother conversation. Yeah, but
I think you should have a podcast with like four guests, like four little windows.
yes,
and we
I
and
got
we
some
talk
stuff.
about it because I'm telling you, it's not just us. And I've had a lot of other friends and we got to do better. We got to do better. So I feel like that's a pretty big and
Oh
I'm
yeah.
happy to come back anytime.
Okay, because
This is
I'm
great.
definitely gonna do. I have some round table episodes planned. Oops, I just hit the mic.
Yes.
And yeah, so I've got some ideas about that. But you're right in the tech space because, and then it just depends on like how the conversations like fall out, because we will have people because I'm in tech, right?
Yeah.
So and my whole coffee no cream moment was when a retired postman told me I was charging Lexus prices for a Toyota.
Oh,
So,
that's
right, don't, yeah, it's like, sir,
Yeah.
Can you explain what it is I do exactly? Do you
Yeah.
know?
But
But
also, doesn't Toyota own Lexus?
yes, it
No,
does.
I'm
But
kidding.
basically, he's just saying
No,
you're
no, I
the
know. He was basically saying, like, you're charging me Mercedes prices for a Honda or, whatever.
would
Yeah.
never say that to a white boy
No. Yeah.
ever, and
Yeah.
that's fine. And it's just like I'm not mad that he said it because I'm just like, okay, well,
You're
And
right.
then years later, it's
Pay
like, oh,
up.
I'm going to start this podcast, and this man said this, but that's just one,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think the conversations just need to be had, and yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely plan on having some round tables. Like the one is good, and
Hmm.
but we're gonna have some more stuff. Yeah,
Anytime.
I've got some stuff, working in here. So,
Yeah.
but tell everybody where they can find you, anything you want them to know. I'm gonna put it on the screen. I'm gonna put it in
Sure.
the notes.
So you could find us at Share Films on Instagram and our socials. Our website is www.theshareplatform.com. And yeah, I'm on socials, but I'm not really on. So it's just
Yeah.
like my business. I kind of slowed down on my own personal stuff. But yeah, share_films is Instagram, and Facebook, Twitter, or X now,
LinkedIn.
um, and TikTok.
Okay.
And our share films is on YouTube as well. So check us
Okay.
out. We're posting stuff all the time. We're gonna have a live stream soon, so you could join for free. And the moment you want to participate in profit sharing and do pro stuff, it's only $9.99 a month. So had to
Yeah.
plug it. Had to plug
You
it.
have to plug it. And did you
Yes.
tell us? I think you might have mentioned this. You just partnered with Tisha Campbell
We
on.
partnered with the
Yes.
amazing Tisha Campbell. This woman has a heart of gold. I mean, and besides being
Yeah.
uber talented, she's been working since she was like 3 years old and plays and this. Like, she is the most professional, talented. I could not believe that she was interested in partnering with us. And when
Yeah.
she heard about Share, she was on board. But she is exactly who we wanted on our team because she has a heart of gold and she
Yeah.
believes in sharing. She believes that everybody should win. And we love her. So we just partnered with her. We're having some events with her coming up. And she has some movies that she's putting on the platform where once we get funding and we hire people, she's sharing in all the profits on that. So it's really cool what we're building, and to have her on our team, we're so lucky. We feel really good. So yeah,
So
super
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, you guys, Erin Norman is the shit. That's basically what all that means.
Oh,
So
thank you.
yes.
Ditto, other Erin. Ditto. Yes.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. And we will see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you.